Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Quantum Leap Show. I believe this is probably our first international audience of the day at 5 p.m. It's kind of been a fairly UK-centric show up until now. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next workshop host today, John Tschohl. And before I let John get on with the his presentation, his workshop, I would just like to say a few words, really. I'd like to just read a few lines off his LinkedIn profile. So John is a service strategy expert. He helps companies develop a detailed and aggressive strategy to keeping customers and preventing them from defecting to the competition. USA Today, Time and Entrepreneur magazine have called him the guru of customer service. He's a best-selling author, a president of the Service Quality Institute, and a global leader in customer service. For the last 44 years, he's solely focused on helping organizations drive a service culture. He's a service strategist that shows firms how to crush the competition, rapidly build market share, and build legendary brands. He's influenced millions of business executives worldwide and has implemented customer service programs with many Fortune 500 companies like DHL, 3M, Kroger, and all branches of the US military. So, ladies and gentlemen, love to introduce you this afternoon to John Tschohl. His presentation is called Driving Sales by Delivering Superior Customer Service. John is, absolute legend in the space of customer service, and I will pass over to him.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you all for participating, and we're going to have 5 minutes at the end for the presentation. My new book is Relentless, and what I speak on is how do you deliver great customer service because it has such an impact on sales. And so we're going to talk about really three things: strategy, and I think customer service is strategy. How do you own the market? How do you dominate the market? It is the strongest, most powerful tool you can use to grow market share. The second thing is leadership. You got to build your leaders. Everybody has got to be customer driven from the top all the way down to the bottom. And then the second is we provide the tools that you could use to change behaviors and attitudes. And there's 9 principles that we're going to talk about today in this 45-minute presentation. Number 1 is relentless strategy. I think the number 1 difficulty is that people don't understand strategy. They're not relentless. They focus on this stuff for a couple months, sometimes for a couple years, and then they're done with it. I'm going to show you a few role models of people that have focused on this strategy for a long time. And it's probably the single most important thing. The second is you got to reduce the friction. You got to make it easy for people to do business with you. So you could have a great product, you could have a great concept, but in most parts of the world and many businesses, it's very difficult to do business with you. And the third, we're going to talk about empowerment. How do we get people to make really fast decisions on the spot in favor of the customer? And usually it takes 2 miracles at one time to get an employee to make an empowered decision for even $10 or 10 pounds. And the fourth is speed. People want things now, they want it fast. And most companies think slow, most employees think slow. We have crazy rules, crazy policies that slow everything down. And, as I talk about this, and we're going to use Amazon as an example. Amazon is good at everything that I talk about here. It's the most customer-driven company in the world. And the fifth is you got to train all employees. There's no educational system in the UK, in Kenya, in the United States, anywhere in the world that teaches people the art of customer service. So if you want customer-driven employees, it's totally your responsibility to get those people signed up, to train and educate those people on customer service. The problem is that you can't dip an employee in one magic program and think he's going to change his whole life, that you're going to take a 25-year-old And instantly, this individual is now going to become perfect for the rest of their life. Development of people is an ongoing process, and you got to put your foot on the accelerator pedal going 100 miles an hour if you really want to develop high-performing people. And then I think your name is one of the most valuable assets. And part of what I teach is what I call laser surgery. You know, we do the nose, we do the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks. When you go to a place of business, whether it be on the phone, through the email, in person, your name is the most valuable asset. And rarely will anybody ever remember your name or use your name, regardless of how many times you come back. One of the easiest ways to compete in the marketplace is to get every employee to remember the customer, to use their name religiously. It is the single, one of the most powerful tools you can use. And then we all make mistakes. We all screw up. Things go wrong. I don't care how good we are. I don't care how committed we are to great service. We all make mistakes. And to just say I'm sorry is not customer service. So we're going to talk about this 4 steps in the presentation on service recovery. And then number 8 is you got to reduce your costs. The service leaders are brutal at eliminating costs and pass the savings on to the customer. Most companies in the world have too many employees. They have too much waste, too many costs. They don't understand how price is one of the dominant issues, and they don't reduce costs. So we're going to talk about how do you reduce costs? How can you pass that savings on to the customer, which gives you increased sales. And if you have increased sales, you have increased market share and increased value of your business. And then the last item is we got to measure what we're doing, because the reason companies are not relentless is because they don't know the results. So they say, this is just too much work, too much effort, and then they skip it. So let's talk first about, there's 4 role models that I could talk a lot more than 4 that drive sales through superior customer service. One is Amazon. Amazon is just incredible when it comes to customer service. They understand all of the 9 elements I just got done talking about. And when they founded the company in 1995, they didn't let up. So Jeff Bezos' focus is on customer service. Vernon Hill started Metro Bank in the UK. He's chairman of Republic Bank in the United States. He founded Commerce Bank in the United States before he sold it to TD Ameritrade. He is probably the most relentless banker that I know, and he's very driven toward great customer service. The difficulty is after he leaves, then companies slowly move back into eliminating elements of customer service. But Vernon Hill has probably a better grasp of customer service than any banker in the world. And then we got Salesforce, and Mark Benioff, the founder and the principal in the firm, understands customer service, a client of mine. And then we have Chewy.com, which sells dog food. And we'll just talk a little bit about their stories. They understand the strategy. The strategy is if you want to grow your business, you want rapid sales, rapid growth, you want to increase your revenue, customer service is the single most powerful tool you could use. Vernon Hill said, customers rule, they pay our salaries. Most companies don't seem to understand that. So relentless must be your core operating principle. You got to serve customers above all things. And as a banker, he understands that with his present bank, Republic Bank, with Metro Bank when he founded that bank, and with Commerce Bank. It's just hard numbers that he's able to deliver. And his dog is Duffy. And he said, customers are those people who bank with us, but who are not yet emotionally attached. They are indifferent at the beginning. We are perfectly happy having customers, but we want to convert them to fans. Part of our community is remaining loyal and convert their friends to new customers. He understands the power of a great customer experience, and he's religious And he's been able to transform companies and move them from zero to billions of dollars in just a few years. And then if we look at Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he's woman relentless customer service into everything at Amazon. And over 21 years, 22 years now, the stock has grown from $1.50 a share. And I just checked it today, and I made the modification on the slide to $3,500 per share. That's over 166,000% increase in price. Now, why do I talk about this? If executives don't commit the funds to train and develop their staff, they don't commit the time and energy to focus on customer service, I think the mistake is they don't understand the revenue that you can create by making your company customer driven. And customer driven means you got to deliver an awesome customer experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't say, you know what, I'll tell you what, in June of 2021, we'll focus on customer service, or we'll do it, you know, for maybe all of 2021. And then when 2022 comes, you know, the hell with it, we'll just go back to what we're doing. It has to be part of your culture. It has to be a lifetime commitment. And if there was one company I'd love you to follow, it's Amazon. So if you were to read everything you could on Amazon and you steal all the principles and ideas you have from Amazon, you would find that they understand relentless customer service. The service strategy is a core element of Amazon. And then if you look at Salesforce, you know, Mark Benioff said, values aren't worth much unless they translate into behavior and are brought to life. Here's a company that's willing to invest and build and develop people. He understands the service strategy. They have CRM software. They're the leader in the world. And, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. And he said, nothing is more important than how a company engages with its customers. And there's not millions of role models. There's only a handful of role models in the world. I'd like your company to be one of those role models. And then if we look at Chewy.com, they sell dog food. And they send birthday cards, millions of handwritten birthday cards every year to its customers. They have staff artists that create oil paintings of their pets, and they send them to the people for free. Now, my brother Tom and his wife Sue are on the line, and they love their dogs more than they probably love each other. You know, my wife loves her dog. She raises show dogs. To an owner of a pet, they love their pet. Chewy.com understands the customer experience. Here's the strategy. They went from zero to over $3 billion in value in just 6 years, and now it's worth $35 billion. So when companies say, you know, I don't have the time, I don't have the money to focus on this service strategy, I'm just saying is that this is the easiest way, the fastest way to have incredible growth. I don't care if you're got 2 people. Amazon, Jeff Bezos started in 1995 with 2 people. Today, they got over 1 million employees. And Chewy, they had a 31.7% increase in sales its first quarter. And the sales for that first quarter were $2.14 billion just for the quarter. Chewy became the most trusted and convenient online destination for pet parents. And the team continues to execute well against the strategy of long-term sustainable growth and margin expansion. Sumit Singh, the CEO, said, in keeping the customer at the center of everything they do is their mission. Now, anybody could do the same thing that a Chewy.com is, but they started with their focus on customer service. By the way, since we're on the line here, let me just call Chewy.com a second. And I got to make sure that I put the sound on here. We'll see how soon they answer the phone.
Thank you for calling Chewy to ensure you receive top-notch service. This call may be monitored or recorded. This is Susie. How can I help you today?
Susie, I'm doing a seminar around the world and I just wanted to show people how Chewy.com answers the phone. You did a great job, Susie.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone.
We got people from the UK, from Kenya, from
Hello.
Spain. We got people from all over the world listening to you, Susan.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I hope you guys are having a great day.
Thank you very much. Bye, Susie.
Bye.
Okay, so they answer the phone in basically one ring, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In most companies, if I called your company today, right now, you know, would they answer the phone with a live person in one ring? See, you got to understand, most companies don't want to have, they don't want this kind of growth. They founded the company in 2011. That's 10 years ago. They sold it in 2017 to PetSmart for $3.35 billion. I have a friend of mine that uses Chewy, and she said, I use Chewy because they love your pet as much as you do. And so if I call, I could put Amazon on the phone right now, and I'm going to get a live person in about 40 seconds. The question, in most companies don't want this kind of growth. You know, Amazon increased sales last year, $105 billion. 105 billion, that was the increase. Most companies don't want to increase the value of their business 166,000%. Too much money. So strategy is one of the most important things you got to understand, is that if you provide relentless customer service, you're going to drive sales, and that's how you build your business. I don't care where in the world you are, whether you're in Madrid or Kenya or the UK, it is an easy way. It takes work, it takes effort, but it's a great way to do it. And by the way, Juan from Madrid is on the line. He's used me for 2 seminars in Kenya and Tanzania. Juan, it's good to have you on the call. And then the second thing that I teach, the second principle, is you got to reduce the friction. If you want more of something, Jeff Bezos says, reduce the friction. Well, most companies have a lot of friction. They make it difficult to buy. You know, I can buy something right now. I could go and buy something in less than 60 seconds and have it delivered the next day on Amazon. They understand speed. They understand reducing the friction. Most companies have too many rules, too many policies, too many procedures, and most of them are stupid, okay? The reason we create so many policies and rules is we don't trust the customer and we don't trust our employee. So what we do is we increase rules and policies, we slow everything down, and we piss off the customer. So one of the principles that I talk about, if you're going to be a service leader, is you got to make it easy for people to buy. The hours that you're open. You know, at Metro Bank, they're open from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. People like Chewy, I can call them and they're going to answer the phone in one ring with a live person. Scott Plum's on the phone from Minnesota. If I called Comcast right now, Scott, I don't think they would answer the phone in one ring.
I totally agree.
Same as whether you're in Bulgaria, like Georgia or wherever. So you gotta be convenient. You gotta make it easy for people to do business with you. And that's why, you know, I feature Vernon Hill a lot, because he has a better grasp of customer service, as I said earlier, than any other banker in the world. He understands the customer experience. The difficulty is that when he leaves the bank, it starts to slowly go back down to being a bank instead of being a service leader. And then the next issue that I talk about that's critical is you got to have empowerment. Empowerment means that your employees got to be able to make a decision on the spot in favor of a customer. Empowerment does not mean following the rules, policies, and procedures. I'm sorry, Georgie, in Bulgaria, these are the rules, these are the policies. You got to be able to be flexible. You got to be able to have an employee bend the rules, change the rules to have an over happy customer. And empowerment is more than an attitude. It's got to be woven into the fabric of an organization. And my experience that empowerment is the single most complicated skill to get employees to use. The number one fear that an employee has is they will get fired. In fact, they know they will get fired. So, and I'm talking about $10, 10 pounds. These are not $1 million decisions here. 95% of all of the empowerment decisions are probably for less than 25 pounds or $25, okay? But trying to get an employee to spend your money to keep a customer excited about your company is really, really difficult. And without empowerment, you're never going to be a service leader. There are too many weird, wild things that happen every day. And what you want an employee to understand is that I'm in customer service and my goal is to have an over happy customer. If your single goal every day in your business was to have over happy customers, you would double the growth of your business. That's how we deliver sales through greater customer service. We don't need to add more people. We need empowered employees that can make decisions on the spot in favor of the customer. And let me see if I can get this to move. So it's got to be a way of life. And I believe if you have over happy customers, your competition's screwed. They don't have a chance. There's no way they can compete with you. Okay. And so, if you take a look at your total workforce, whether you got 10 employees or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, every single person has to be able to make empowered decisions. And the person closest to the customer is that frontline employee who everywhere in the world is the least paid, least trained, least recognized, least valued, but has your customer in their hands. And if that individual understands that taking care of a customer, having an over happy customer is my single most important task every day, the growth of your company will skyrocket. So while executives are nice to have around, 99% of all of the customer contact that you have is with your frontline employee. So if you look at Kenya, Helsma, with your 100 employees in your shipping business, while you may be important, the single most important person in your company is that little driver, the person answering the phone, the person that has that customer contact. And then one of the other principles that I teach is you got to have speed. Today, people want fast. They want everything today. And Amazon has probably done more to drive speed along with Apple than most other companies. The challenges that we face are the mindset of employees, which are slow. 95% of all employees think slow. They know that if they got 3 days, they wait until the third day to begin. If they got 4 hours, they wait until the last few minutes to begin the project. And then they say, well, I didn't know it was going to snow, or I didn't know it was going to rain. I didn't know there would be traffic in London today. And then you got to have empowerment because employees are frozen like a deer in lights. They freeze. They can't make a decision. And if an employee makes a fast decision in favor of the customer, you don't have to move it up the chain of command. Okay. You save tremendous amounts of money. At Amazon, I have never, ever had anybody at Amazon tell me no. Never. Okay. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. I like to call on the phone. Some of you guys are a little bit more techie than me, and you probably like, interfacing on the internet. I got an issue. I like to talk to people. And by the way, you notice the lady that answered the phone at Tschohl, she had a great personality. Some companies, if they answer the phone, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll have to transfer you to somebody else. Come on. Okay. You need customer-driven employees. And then the barriers to speed are your company's policies, procedures, and available technology. You know, Apple created speed, you know, with the iPhone. I mean, we got spoiled, okay? Amazon has spoiled us. So the problem is a lot of other organizations, we think slow. Well, today, people are used to using Amazon and Apple, and they like speed. And so that's another element that we got to deliver. And it's not in our nature to think and act with speeds. You know, slow is easy. Think about when you were in college and it was Monday and the professor said, we're going to have a test on Friday. When did you start studying for the test? For a lot of us, it might have been Thursday night or Friday morning, okay? So the mindset of virtually all employees is slow. I mean, they just go slow, okay? And the problem is that customers, they want speed, they want it now. So when I talk about speed, I'm talking about how do we shrink the time by 90%? So if it normally took you 10 days, how do we get it down to 1 day? If it normally took you 14 hours, how do I get it down to 1 hour? That's speed. And we have a training program, by the way, if anybody's interested, that teaches the skills and the art of speed, that gets the entire workforce customer driven and understanding the power of speed. And then the next skill that I talk about, if we're going to create this service culture, and I got about 10 minutes left or so, is you got to train all these employees. I don't care if you got 5 employees or 50 employees or 500 employees. Everybody's got to understand the power of the customer experience. There's no educational system. You can go to any university in the UK, the US, in Kenya, in Spain. I don't care where you are in the world, in Bulgaria. There's no higher education or high school that's going to teach anybody the skills of customer service. So if you want customer-driven employees, it's 100% your responsibility. And what you don't want to do is have one little program that you dip somebody in. And, you know, let's say the average workforce today is around 25 years old, and you're going to take this 25-year-old and you're going to dip him into one of our magic programs, and instantly he's going to change his life and become perfect. I'm saying that's baloney. It's never going to happen. You got to have a process. You got to keep developing people. You got to push people to the highest element so that you got high performing people. That's the keys to great customer service. And we use a disruptive technology with Service Quality Institute. We change attitudes and behavior. See, I think, let's just take the United States. I don't think there's anybody in the US or the UK that doesn't know customer service is important. They just don't do it. I mean, you could count, Scott, you could count on one hand all the times in a year you're going to find people delivering great customer service in the US. So we have to change attitudes and behavior. Then we have to teach the skills, the fundamentals of customer service. It's an art. It's not complicated, but you got 2 seconds, 3 seconds with the customer. You want to make sure that that employee of yours is on autopilot. So when the phone is answered, it was like Susie at chewy.com. She had a great attitude. And then you got to improve the employee morale and teamwork. If people love their job, they're more productive. And if you do those 3 things, you'll dramatically increase your revenue and increase your sales. And then part of this training is you got to hire for attitude and train for skill. So at Republic Bank, Vernon Hill and his wife Shirley, and this is the policy they had at Commerce Bank, at Metro Bank in London, and now at Republic Bank. If there's no smile on the initial interview, there's no second interview. Now, I don't know if I have anybody on this call from Russia right now, but in Russia, nobody smiles. I mean, it's really bad. A smile is so easy to do, and it just creates that warmth. You could hear the girl from Chewy with her warmth just reaping across the phone lines. And then the other skill that I talk about is you got to remember the customer's name and use the customer's name. And there's 3 reasons we don't use the customer's name. Number 1 is a difference. I really don't give a damn. Maybe I'm in a restaurant. I got hundreds of people coming in every day. Who cares? Do you realize that 80% of your customers are repeat? It could be, 80% of your customers give you, or probably 20% of your customers give you 80% of your business, but we don't even know who they are oftentimes. Second reason we don't use the customer's name is fear. I don't know how to say Tschohl, so I'm not going to use his name. They could use John. That's pretty easy to remember. But we're afraid of how to pronounce the name. And then the third is a lack of training. Nobody's ever been trained on why you got to use the customer's name and what are the skills. And by the way, that's another program we have called Remember Me that teaches people the skills and the art of how do you remember a customer's name. I think it's called laser surgery. If I owned a restaurant, and let's just take a restaurant for a concept because everybody sometime during the week or month goes out to dinner. What would happen in wherever there's a restaurant, there's usually about 5 or 10 within 1 mile. What would happen if you owned a restaurant and every time somebody came in, you remembered the customer and you used their name? And, when you check into a restaurant, oftentimes you have a reservation and you walk up there and you say, I have a reservation for 6 o'clock tonight. My name is John Tschohl. Well, what would happen if the host said, oh, Mr. Tschohl, it is so great to have you back. And when the waitress comes along, he could say, Mary, Mr. Tschohl and his party have been here many times before. Will you make sure you take care of Mr. Tschohl? We don't use the customer name. We don't give a damn. We're talking about how do you drive sales? Just think about if you were going to take some people out for lunch or dinner, and you knew that this one restaurant, everybody knew your name and they used your name. Where would you go? These are not complicated concepts. And then, I think your name is a very precious possession. And I don't care who it is, the bellman, the maid, I don't care whether you're in a hotel, I don't care what business you're in, how often does somebody use your name? When you go to your grocery store, does anybody look at your credit card and say, oh, Mr. Tschohl, thank you for coming? Or do they say, how do I pronounce your last name? It looks complicated. And I say it's Tschohl. Okay, that's really cool, Mr. Tschohl. It is really great. My name is Alex, by the way, Mr. Tschohl. It is nice to have you here. We don't use the name. We don't care. Okay. I'm talking about strategy. How do you own the market? How do you drive sales? And then the last 3 items, I got about 6 minutes, is service recovery. When we screw up, how do we save the customer? In the United States, 80% of the employees lie and run for cover when there's a problem. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the US, it's pretty bad. So what I teach is a skill in 60 seconds. How do you flip the customer? So a guy is thinking, I'm never going to come back. I hate this company. How in 60 seconds can you flip it so he thinks he's dealing with the greatest company in the world? And we teach 4 skills. Act quickly. The employee at the point of contact best implement service recovery. You don't want the problem moved up the chain of command. You want the employee to make a decision to take care of it. And then you take responsibility. You don't lie. You don't move it off to somebody else. You don't blame the customer. You don't blame accounting or sales. You apologize. You take responsibility. I can count on one hand in my life how many times I've heard an employee say, I made a mistake and it's my fault. I'm not teaching rocket science. I'm just teaching fundamentals. And by the way, we have a training program called Service Recovery, Loyal for Life. So don't make excuses or lie to cover a mistake. And I'm going to say, as I said, at least 80% of the people in the United States lie and run for cover. And don't point out a customer's misunderstanding. And number 3 is you got to make an empowered decision in favor of the customer. You got to be able to take care of the customer. And then number 4 is you got to compensate. And every company has products and services of value. One, with us in Madrid, your company, you've got products and services that you can give to people that have high value, low cost when you mess up. And it's got to, all this has to happen in 60 seconds or less. Now, when the employee does this, it's magic. If it goes all the way up to the chain of command to the top, if it goes to John Aldrich at BBX, it's too late. The whole dang place is burned down. You got to have the employee make a decision on the spot in favor of the customer and give things away of high value. You got to make it right. You got to pay them for their inconvenience. And if you compensate them generously, they will fall in love with you. And then the last two items I want to talk about is reducing costs. All the, Amazon, people don't go to Amazon and say, I want to pay a lot more money than anywhere else. They don't go to chewy.com and say, I want to pay more money. They're looking for ways to buy for less money. And one of the ways of doing that is to eliminate stupid rules, policies, and procedures because they cost you money. Another is to reduce the number of employees by developing high-performing employees. You don't need people wandering around. You just need high-performing people. And then you got to terminate non-performing employees. And it takes two miracles at one time to terminate a dead person. People got to physically die on the job before you terminate them. Okay. So all service leaders are frugal. There's only two companies that are really good at customer service that's wrong. Apple, because they can charge whatever they want, and Disney, they charge whatever they want. But the rest of the world, price is really important. And then we got to measure results. If you can reduce your defection rate, these are customers that get mad at you and say, I'm not going to come back. If you can reduce your defection rate by 5%, you can have profit swings of anywhere from 25 to 100%. If you can reduce your defection rate by 50%, you can double the growth of your business. And at Service Quality Institute, we have 16 different areas that we can measure hard numbers from sales to market share to customer complaints that we will impact and influence. You got to measure, measure, and measure so the executive team gets committed. Now, one of the problems with surveys in the United States is that it's a fad right now. Every company in the United States wants to survey you every time you have a transaction. And they don't do a damn thing with the survey. So, I mean, I'd say that 95% of companies fall in love with surveys and they're worthless. They're a waste of time. Take the money you're going to spend on surveys and instead use it to train and develop your people. You'll get a much better result. So we got to commit to staying relentless. I think providing relentless customer service will drive your organization to incredible success, no matter where you are in the world. And to drive sales by delivering superior customer service. By the way, it's got to be superior. If you're not going to drive sales by okay service, by average service, you got to be awesome. You got to be good, Bob, 100% of the time. Okay. It has to be an obsession. It's a self-directed passion. It's like breathing. It's essential to your organization's being, and it never stops. That's how you own the market. That's how you dominate the market. So my contact information is right here. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Here you've got my email. You've got my website. You've got my WhatsApp phone number. You can reach me on that. I have a free email newsletter up above at our website, customerservice.com. So with that, Alex and John, I'm ready to answer questions. Barnaby's on the line. I didn't know Barnaby is with us. Hi, Barnaby.
That's fantastic, John. Thank you so much. An absolute customer service masterclass there. So where can people buy your training products? Are they available on your website?
They're available on our website, and you can email me. You can call me on my cell phone. We're easy to do business with, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's great. And could I just ask anybody who's got a question, can you just put your hand up in the chat, and I'll invite you to speak to John. before you unmute everybody at the same time. Lynn, there you go.
Hello, John. Amazon over here that they upset a load of people with their zero contracts, and a lot of people have got very upset and stopped doing work with them. So I know it's bad report, but it does cause a problem in, it's what you're saying with their information of how good they
So
are.
Lynn, if you wanted to increase sales, get rid of all these contracts and just do business on your word. You know, we've done $100,000 sales. We just ship it out. We don't have any contracts. And we've never really gotten screwed. Make it easy for people to do business with you. Think about what pisses you off about other companies and then eliminate all that stuff. See, the strength of Amazon and Chewy is they trust their customer. And the problem with most companies in the world, we don't trust our customers. So we have more rules, more policies, and more procedures.
Scott, I believe you've got a question, Scott.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Great presentation. I'm grateful. First time I've heard you present. Great stuff. As you know, I do sales training, and it's very frustrating working with a company that spends thousands of dollars on training salespeople, and they don't spend the money on customer service. So we work hard at getting them in as a customer, and then they buy from us, and then something goes wrong, and then the customer service loses them. I tell you, your focus is so important when it comes to revenue with a company, and it just doesn't get enough attention. So thanks.
And Scott, the key is if you got 50 people in a company, all 50 people have to be trained on customer service. Because the person that you think is the least important will always do you the most damage.
Yeah, I've worked with companies. I've been a customer of companies. The salesperson does a really good job of selling me. I buy. I get frustrated for one reason or another. I got a customer service person that can't handle it. And the first thing they want to do is give a refund or cancel the service. And it's like, wait a minute, you didn't even work on recovering me or retaining me at all. I want you to fix the problem. I don't want you to apologize. I want you to fix the problem. But they want to apologize. And it's just so frustrating when they just want to apologize. Fix it first. Thanks, John.
John,
Okay.
let me ask a question, John. How easy is this to apply this approach in let's say sort of small businesses, you know, sort of 6 employees, 8 employees, 10 employees, where, you know, people are wearing a lot of different hats, and, you know, there's always a lot of selling pressure, and people are not always kind of taking care of the back end so much as they should.
Well, our programs are very easy to facilitate. So whether you have 6 employees or 5 or 10, you could easily use some of our programs. One of the programs we have is the Service First Video Library, which is extremely inexpensive. You have to have constant training to teach people the elements. And all of our programs have user-friendly leader guides. And what we teach a facilitator is to never answer a question. So if one of you was a facilitator, the most important skill, Hasmith, is never to answer the question. So if somebody says, you're the owner, what do you think we should do? You got to say, Mike, that's a good question. But George, how do you feel about that? And Kathy, you're not going to buy into that stuff, are you? You never answer the question. Your goal is to change attitudes and behavior. Intellectually, every single person in your country already knows customer service is important. They just don't do it. Nobody ever trains them. So you got to provide the skill training. You have to change attitudes. Secondly, you got to teach the skill, and it's not expensive.
I was just about, that was going to be sort of my next question really, was what do you think is the financial trade-off or the commercial benefit of, you know, everybody spends a lot of money on the front end activities like marketing, like sales, and, you know, but far less money and far less focus on customer service, and you know, it just seems like they're completely out of balance with each other.
Well, Alex, salespeople are the worst offenders of customer service. They can sell them, but when it comes to customer service, they fall apart. So it doesn't matter whether you got 6 employees or 60 or 600 or 6,000. Every single person has to understand your single most important goal is to love the customer, to take care of the customer. If you love the customer, if the customer is treated like a king or a queen, you have incredible revenue.
Yeah.
That's how you become an Amazon. That's how you become a Chewy.com. Chewy.com went from in 10 years to $35 billion in value in 10 years. Okay. They understand customer service. And by the way, the reason PetSmart bought Chewy is they were competing with Chewy and they were losing customers. They were losing about 6% of their sales. And they decided it was smarter to buy Chewy than to compete against them. So it was a very smart investment by PetSmart going back about 4 or 5 years ago now.
That's fantastic. Well, I just want to say, John, thank you very much today. That was a wonderful session. And I'd like to just say to everybody on the meeting, we've got some more great sessions coming up today at Quantum Leap. If any of you want to stay on this Zoom link, we've got David Colby from colby.com coming up next. And David will be talking about the secret to developing truly productive teams. And I'll also invite you to have a look around the Quantum Leap show. There's business networking and trade exhibitions and all sorts of wonderful things going on. But once again, thank you to John Tschohl for the customer service masterclass. That was really absolutely incredible. Thank you.
So feel free to email me, to call me. Would love to be of help. Barnaby, it's so nice to see you again. And George from Canada. We got people from all over the world here. Pastimo from Botswana. I mean, we're doing good here. Renee from Switzerland.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.